going to go through some new releases that are coming out. We've had the 850 S series, the medium fuse, the 150 AR tail, and then our 75 and 85 mast. But today we're going to go through the 980 and the 720. So these are obviously just one size up and one size down from the 850, which is this one here. And kind of obvious progression, but we've gone a size up and a size down, and we've been really blown away with how well they work smaller and bigger. I guess for me, the 720, I was worried I wasn't going to be able to link waves that well. I was hoping it would turn really well, and it does that, but it links waves much better than I thought it was going to be. So it's my go-to, like every day of the week I use the 720 in waves from knee high to head high. It's been super fun. And then the 980 is just the opposite. So we thought it was going to pump really well, but we were worried it didn't turn that well, and I found the 980 turned super well and pumped all day. You could pump all day on it basically. I did a bay run on it in botany, and it was super fun, super agile, really good turning, and yeah, it's been my go-to of late for the Westleys at home in Sydney.
Yeah, I've found that the 720 is easily pronable and more my go-to when there's no weed, that is. And on the wing, which I probably do more of than these guys, the 720 is super fun. Very rippable with turns, still heaps of glide, has that same characteristic of the 850. It's just scaled down. It's still 9.5 ratio. And I love it. It's kind of my go-to on the wing. The 980 for me is when it's nearly unfoilable prone, where I've had a few times, I know Thailand, when we had the sample delivered to us there, it was not foilable on the 850 because it was so small you had to push yourself onto the wave off the bottom and get up on foil before you hit the sand. And the 980 was just a session save, and like Jimmy said, pump it all day, and it still turns reasonably good. And I've had a lot of feedback from guys, intermediate prone foilers are the ones who are going to love this, who are still learning to link up. Had a lot of guys in WA anyway who have tried it, and yeah, it's made them feel like a legend with the pumping out. So I think it's going to be really good for that intermediate market.
Actually, I was teaching a guy, a YouTuber actually, his name's Laurie Shaw, go check him out. I was teaching him to foil, and his goal was to be able to link, connect or double dip waves in 2 weeks. And he'd done a bit of e-foiling, a bit of toe foiling, but hadn't done much surf foiling and had never linked waves. And I had started him on the 850 because that's all we had, then we got the samples of the 980, and he double dipped on his third wave on the 980, and then again on the fifth wave. So like the 980 is crazy good for linking, and the first time he'd linked, he actually thought it didn't count because it was so easy. He was like, did that count? I'm like, yeah dude, why aren't you celebrating? That's your first double dip. So the 980 is a seriously good one for those who want to link waves and still be able to turn it. Yeah. And then the Bongi, what do you reckon?
Yeah, well, I agree with everything. The 720 for the majority of prone surfing for me is great. The only thing I'd add with the 980 is when it's onshore and sloppy, it's just so much fun, even for advanced guys, because you can pump into the wind, no worries, super low stall speed. And yeah, sometimes I feel like I surf the 980 as good as the shorter boards when there's just no power in the waves, so it's probably given me days where I wouldn't have foiled previously. The 980 is, yeah, been super fun, and yeah, the 720 just crazy. So much fun to surf when the waves are good and even small. It's got plenty of glide, plenty of pump. It's stoked.
Yeah, I was using the 720 up at Plumber with all the foil froth vest, and it was, some days it was not even able to tap into waves. Yeah. Like if you could get up and go, and I was up for minimum 4 or 5 waves with a bit of an onshore breeze. And I've been winging the 720 heaps too, out at our local bommy. Super fun, like crazy the amount of, crazy amount, just the ability that it turns harder compared to the 850. It's just that, as it's smaller, so it's going to turn better. So, but it still gets up early because it's not stupid smaller, I guess. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, I think probably the other thing to talk about, which we haven't mentioned, which everyone will probably think is weird for us three, is downwind, I think that these are really good to downwind if your goal is to go and surf downwind. These are unreal. Still my go-to. Like we're working on a race series which is all about speed and glide. But if I want to go and surf, I still pretty much always bolt on the 850 or even the 980 on a light wind day. I think they're really fun for the surf downwind. It's not like they go slow either. You can go quick on them, but yeah, for the downwind surfer, they're pretty good. It's a pretty solid choice.
Yeah, the 720 I downwinded, and before I went out, I was on one of our prototype race wings, and the wind had it was a really good day of wind in Sydney, so I went out, I just got the 720, I took it out for a run, and by the time I got out, the wind had died, and I was worried, am I going to be able to paddle up the 720? But I got up second try, just inside the wind line, and the ability for it to turn and glide was great. The race wings probably just have that, you don't have to push as hard, the pump is probably the only difference, but we'll go into that later on. But yeah, that's pretty. So generally, I like to use the 720 with the large fuse and the 150 tail. I tried it with the 142 tail, and for me personally, being 83 kilos, I found it was a bit harder to link waves. It turned really nice, but for linking waves, the small tail was a little bit trickier. The 150 tail was just enough for me to easily link and pump waves, and the longer fuse just gave me that little bit more pitch stability, I guess, for being a smaller foil. Turned awesome. And then you're saying the 980 longie.
Yeah, like I said before, those onshore days and also downwind with the 980, it's a real fun surfy downwind session. I always like to pair it with the small fuse and yeah, the 150 tail, just because yeah, like the small fuse kind of offsets the large front wing and just makes it super playful and just makes the pump a little lighter too, so it doesn't feel big on your leg. Just like, yeah, probably one of my favourite setups when it's like half a foot onshore or light downwind. Love it.
And which tail are you using with that?
150. Yeah. 150. I'm similar to James, a little bit lighter but not as fit. So 150 for me is, yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
it's funny. I use, if I have these three wings in the car, generally I'll have the small front wing with the large fuse and the larger tail, and the 850 I have the medium fuse, medium tail, and the 980 I have the small fuse, small tail.
Yeah.
They just go together well.
Yeah.
For winging, the rock solid feel of the long fuse with the small wing and the slightly larger tail. The pitch stability, obviously when you're winging, you've got a lot of chop and stuff. It's not like the cross off, you know, that you do a lot of winging. It's really junky. And to be able to bottom turn when you've got weird bits of chop and everything without being pitch unstable, and you can just focus on doing the turns. Yeah, that's the setup I really like, but it's going to depend on each person and their conditions. But yeah, it's exciting to have a few combos to play with now.
Yeah, more than just the medium 850 and the 150 tail, but it's
probably special mention of Dan, who loves the 980.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately not here.
Yeah, Dan's going to meet these boys in Hood River, but Dan's been frothing out on the 980. He's 85 kilos, 84 kilos, a little bit heavier than me, and he's been loving the 980.
And probably been foiling for about 3 years less than us as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's very, very capable, but it's really cool that we're all at different weights and doing different stuff. So yeah, it's been good testing.
Yeah, but excited to get these 720s and 980s out to complement the 850. It's moving pretty quick, but it's kind of been a long time in the making. Exciting times.